Hi, 7th graders. Today we're doing section 11.4 and it's dealing with subtraction of integers. And this is going to be an easy section because honestly, you learned it yesterday, okay? So with subtraction, one way we need to think about it, subtraction is really adding the opposite of a number or adding the negative. So here we're used to seeing subtraction problems as 4 minus 3. And we know 4 minus 3 equals 1. You learned that in first grade. Okay? But in algebra, we're going to think of subtraction as the same thing as adding a positive 4 and adding a negative 3. We're going to combine these two numbers by addition, and we're adding a negative 3. So 4 plus a negative 3 is 1, okay? It's the exact same thing. We're just looking at it in a different way. So 4 minus 2, we know right away is 2. But we can rewrite this subtraction as 4 plus the opposite of 2, which is negative 2. So 4 plus negative 2 equals 2. And when we think of subtraction in this way, it makes a subtracting of integers easy because we're adding, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at these two subtraction problems, okay? We've got negative 3 subtract 4. That just looks really weird, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to change this into an addition problem. So I've got negative 3 plus the opposite of 4. Okay, so here this used to be subtraction, but here I'm going to add the opposite of 4, which is my negative 3. Okay, now how did we add numbers that were of the same sign? So here both of my numbers here are negative. What we do if both signs are the same, we just add them together. So 3 plus 4 is 7. And I use the sign that they both are, and it's negative. Okay? Now, I'm trying to cover up here. This is one exception with subtraction. This is my special rule. Okay? Going to pull it all down here so you can see it. Here, sometimes when we subtract numbers, we actually have a subtraction, okay? We have 8 subtract a negative 5, okay? Now, if you notice here, there is no number in between here. I have two negatives side by side. And the rule is, with subtraction, when I have two negatives side by side, that turns to a positive. Okay? Tomorrow, the next time we do multiplication, I'll explain it more about this. But for right now, we know when we have two negatives side by side without a number in between, that this changes to a positive. So now I'm going to go ahead and simply add 8 plus 5, which is 13. Okay? And this is the special rule we have with subtraction. Two negatives side by side turn to a positive. So today, the rest of our notes is just going to be practicing different problems here and making sure that you're comfortable with our subtraction. So we have a list here, okay? Let's go ahead and we'll do it this way so I can work side by side. Let's go ahead, and the very first thing is let's change this all to an addition problem. So here I have negative 2 plus a negative 8. Okay, so I took that, added it to the opposite of 8, and now we have both the signs are negative. So I have to add 8 and 2 together to get 10, and I use the sign that they are, which is a negative. Okay, here, if you notice, I've got my special rule here. I have two negatives that are side by side. So I'm left with negative 5 plus 7. Okay, how did I add two numbers together that were opposite signs? Remember, I took the big number, 7, subtracted the little, and I got 2, and then I used the sign of the bigger one. The sign of my bigger number was 7, so my answer has to be a positive 2. Okay, look at the next problem here. 6 minus 8. Let's change it to an addition problem. So 6 plus the opposite of 8, which is a negative 8. Okay, here, once again, I have two numbers that are opposite signs. I've got a positive 6 and a negative 8. So I'm going to go 8 minus 6, which is 2 again. But what is the sign of my bigger number? The sign of my bigger number is actually negative. So my answer is a negative 2. Okay, let's do the last one in this row here. You've got negative 1. Here's my special rule. I've got two negatives side by side, so that turns to a positive 1. A negative 1, excuse me, a negative 1 and a positive 1 ends up as being 0. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do the problems in the last row here. So I'm going to show you the problems here a minute, and let's tackle this first one. Okay, I'm not going to say anything for a second. I'm going to let you do the math. Our problem is 3 minus a negative 6. Now when you did this, I hope you realized that the two negatives were side by side. There was nothing between it. So it turned into a positive 6. So my final answer should have been 9. Hopefully that's what you got. Take a look at this next one. Okay, so we should have turned it to an addition problem. So 0 plus the negative 9, and my final answer would have been a negative 9. Okay, do the third one here. Okay, did you recognize we have two negative signs side by side, and so that turned it to a positive 9, and so my final answer would have been 10. Okay, do the last one here. Okay, you're right. Two negatives again, so it turns it to a positive 4, and now I just do my addition. 7 plus 4 is 11. Okay, so doing subtraction of integers is not a scary thing. We're basically doing addition again. So we think of our subtraction problems as an addition problem, and we follow the same rules that we did yesterday. If you have any questions, please text or email me. Have a good day.